Welcome, everybody, to our Rialto Players Home. Now, to get this off on the right foot, I'd like to have you all stand and we'll pledge allegiance to our flag. Ready? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I want to welcome you all here today, and of course you're all very special people. Special to us because you've supported us throughout the years. I hope you've enjoyed the pictures that we had for you. That's a long, long history. I would like to welcome everybody, and I want to introduce now with a little caveat first. When Sandy heard that we were going to host this auspicious occasion, she, of course, as any housewife does, we have to redecorate. So I hope you enjoyed the lobby redecoration and the painted floors. This all happened in a very short time. A week ago Thursday, Courtney showed up early in the morning with paint buckets, paint sticks, a number of our board members and our wonderful volunteer and our famous painting ladies, and they tackled the auditorium. So we hope you enjoy it. I know we will. And now I want to introduce our honoree, Mrs. Sandra R. Courtney. Hooray for Sandy. I'm going to skip this.
You know how I love a standing ovation. Thank you guys so much.
Yes. Now, I am going to introduce Sandy, who is going to do a little speaking. I know she's very shy, but I think we can coax her into it. You all know her reputation. Sandy, I'm going to turn the mic over to you. Thank you.
That is really dangerous. You know that. I'm so excited. At first I was stunned, and then I was overwhelmed. And then I started having a really good time with, oh my God, this is my building. This is mine. I can do anything I want. And now I'm just plain proud. I'm really proud, really proud. Thank you. You're all dear friends of mine. Thank you for all your work. And the painting ladies, will you stand up, please? Barbara and Cheryl, that's the ones she was talking about. Yeah. Yeah. Their hands are still red from painting, But they come and they help, and we have lunch, and we laugh, and we have such a good time. So if you ever want to join us, feel free. So I'm going to have to read this because I'll forget things otherwise, but you'll find out through the course of this speech what's happened over the years. This whole thing started 30 years ago when 3 people who are on the Parks and Recreation Board were trying to find new ways to diversify their program, sitting right down here. This group was made up of Parks and Recreation Director Jack Simonson. Name sound familiar? His name is on this entire complex here. Midge Zupanik, former Rialto City Council person and past treasurer of Rialto Players, and Ernie Garcia, past principal of Dunn School, Dean Emeritus of the College of Education at Cal State San Bernardino, and was roped into the first show of Rialto Players' main season, Plaza Suite. They knew my theatrical background and all the productions I had done for the schools and asked me to start a community theater. I had started out in show business at 15 when I won a contest sponsored by the Los Angeles Herald-Express newspaper, where the prize was a part in a Western movie with Rocky Lane at Republic Studios. Well, that just fueled my stage mother's appetite, and we were off and running. I ended up modeling all over LA, taking dance lessons with the Meglin's teen group, and of course, being in drama in high school. Also, taking on Girls League offices there, always being an overachiever, it seems. All this while taking a bus to West Los Angeles to take acting lessons from Ben Bard, who eventually became head of talent for 20th Century Fox, where I would later do a movie. It's always who you know, you know? I won a scholarship to the prestigious Pasadena Playhouse, where theatrical training was top-notch. At one point, they asked me to stage manage a show at the Playbox, a small satellite theater which belonged to the Playhouse. It was semi-professional, and one of the actresses turned into a diva and was fired. And I was told to get on the part with a matter of days until opening. That show is where my first agent came from. The second bigger agent told me how to break my contract with the smaller agent, and my first job was in the movie Marjorie Morningstar for Warner Brothers. Then A Certain Smile for 20th Century Fox, TV programs like Mr. Adams and Eve, matinee theater, which was live at noon and scary, and then on to the most fun one of all, Zorro, for Walt Disney in 1958. What a fun time that was. I've had the honor of being one of Zorro's girlfriends all these years, and now, after 54 years, my 2 shows are on YouTube, if you can believe it. The Unmasking of Zorro and The Agent of the Eagle. So look them up. When the first shows came out on TV late at night, I said to my husband, "My dress wasn't that color green." And he said, "Sandy, when you did it, it was in black and white." But on YouTube, with modern technology, it is in brilliant color. And it holds up pretty darn well, I gotta say so myself. In 1958, I was engaged to my now husband of 54 years, and he was in the Air Force Reserve's basic training at Lackland Air Force Base when 20th Century Fox asked me to sign a 7-year contract in their Starlet system. So I called him in Texas, and I told him about it, and I said, "What'll I do? What'll I do?" And he said, "Don't sign it." But I did sign it anyway. That was a turning point in my life, and it brought me to where I am today. The huge, long strike in the movie industry over residuals happened and dragged on forever. No one was working, and contracts were canceled, and I thought, this is a sign. I made the choice to leave show business and got married to the love of my life. We went to Cal Poly San Luis Obispo for Dawn to finish college, and I used my show business acting skills in the complaint department for Sears Roebuck. Eventually, with 4 kids under 7, life got really busy, and I began to get dragged back into show business again, putting on shows for the Junior Women's Club, singing and dancing the Brownie and Girl Scout troops, and then putting on the honorary service PTA shows for all 13 schools in Rialto, which became so popular we had upwards of 400 people attending a PTA show. Good grief. I even had the superintendent of schools sitting on a cot dressed in a too small Boy Scout uniform singing the camp song, "Hello Mudda, Hello Fada." So along comes 1982, and I have 2 kids in college and 2 in high school, and this group of 3 asked me to start a community theater, and I thought, oh my gosh, what am I getting myself into? But as with signing up to be a starlet, I did it anyway. And here we are, 30 years later. Did I mention the fact that they asked me to do this? When they asked me to do this, they gave me a gymnasium and no money. So here is a representative of the band of 3 who asked me to do this to give you his take on things, Mr. Ernie Garcia. Can you see, Ernie? It's a little dark.
You're making those steeper.
That's right.
Thank you, Sandy. In 1961, I was appointed principal of Dunn School. It was wonderful, but the added thing was that the former edition of Rialto players were housed there. They rehearsed there, and they put on their plays there. It was wonderful. And one of them that I remember so well, they did Mr. Roberts. And you remember Mr. Roberts, the fight scene when the sailors go on leave and they come back all bloody? You remember that? Any of you? Well, the Rialto players of that vintage decided that bandages would best be done with Kotex. And they had the Kotex in time, and they had red paint on them, so when the sailors came in, and it was great. And I had a wonderful vice principal, very up-and-coming young man, and he had just gotten a new sports car. And the custodian found that the Rialto players have left one of the bloody Kotex. So I had this wonderful faculty, which I tried to subdue, because they were wild. They decided they would, our vice principal has just gotten a brand new little sports car. So somebody decided, not I, to put this Kotex under the front seat, just barely showing, as he went out to get in his car. And of course, all the faculty were lined up in the windows waiting for him. I won't give his name. Waiting for him to go out there. And he went out to get in his car, and he saw that, and he pulled it up. And it was the best job of acting I have ever seen. It was absolutely wonderful. Now, 20 years later, I get called by this character here and this character here, and Midge, and we're going to get the players started again. And I thought, well, why not? Maybe they'll do Mr. Roberts. I went to the meeting, and I knew Sandy, sort of, but she came in with her Zorro outfit.
I did not.
And I said, what, we're going to do Zorro here or what? It was wild. Well, anyway, we started out, and Plaza Suite was going to be the first serious show. Everything was fine. I was having dinner that night, our home in Riverside Avenue. Dottie had cooked an unusually good dinner. We had our three boys there. We had a nice conversation going. The phone rings. And it's Sandy. And she says, all right, Garcia, we had auditions tonight, and nobody auditioned for the segment of Plaza Suite with that Walter Matthau place. Now put up or shut up. I was innocent. So I decided, well, I better finish this dinner, have my last gulp of good wine, and go over there. And a thespian was born. A bad one. A bad one. I had been singing with the master chorale and decided that would be my destiny, and then I get to be a thespian. Let me tell you about one of the times that in the series that we presented of Plaza Suite. I was going along okay. Plaza Suite has these sequences that are almost alike when the Walter Matthau character tries to get his daughter Mimsy out of the John to go get married because all the people down there are drinking all his booze. And so he was indignant. Well, one of those times I lost my lines completely.
Guess who was prompter?
And I started walking away toward Winnie. She was a prompter, and the person playing my wife, Mimi, said, what are you doing? She went off script, not before I did. And she said, what are you doing? And as I walked toward Winnie, I said, I'm concentrating, woman. And I went ahead, and she gave me the line, and I finished. That night, a woman, a very nice white-haired woman, came up to me and said, I've seen this play at least 9 times. And if I hadn't seen it that many times, I wouldn't know that you screwed up.
Okay, what's next? Okay, turn again.
Okay.
Okay, let's see. Gotta get these glasses on here.
Okay.
Okay, now I'd like to ask Mike Story to come up and assist me by introducing some of our elected officials and department heads. Thank you, Mike.
All right, thank you. Well, good evening. Thank you for allowing me to be part of this event. I'm going to go ahead and just introduce some of the officials that are here this evening. And before I get started, you know, my lovely wife, Janet, has been sitting over here just telling everybody about, in my high school days, the musicals and the theatrical things that I was involved in. So if any of my staff is here tonight, okay, take that with a grain of salt. Okay, that was a long, long time ago. A long, long time ago. And anyone that saw me at the Centennial celebration saw me actually dance, and I actually can do that. But just to briefly go off script a little bit, my mom was a professional dancer and was one of the original Little Rascals that was, not Alfalfa or Spanky, but one of the other one, named Mary. But her name was Mary. But so that's where I got a little bit of it. So the theater is special to my heart and everything. But this evening, who I'd like to introduce this evening, I know to start off the bat, we have some of our council members here this evening. I know Council Member Joe Baca Jr. is here, sitting in the back. Joe, thank you very much. Also, Councilman Ed Palmer, right up here in the front row. Some of our commissioners are here also. I know some of the people aren't familiar with theater, like Max Tidler. You can just stand, Max. You don't have to say anything. So it's our transportation commissioner, and his wife, Pauline Tidler, next to him, and better known as Mrs. Claus and Mr. Claus. So our planning commission chairman, as well as Commissioner, Parks and Recreation Commissioner Rafael Trujillo is here this evening, too. I think Rafael's here. So. And if any of the other commissioners or other people are here that I've completely missed, I really apologize because the lights are really bright on stage. I'd forgotten what theater lighting was really like and things. So, but I really thank you for letting me come and be part of this.
Thank you.
Sandy, no one better to have this named after and everything. And we'll be getting, I don't know if you want me to do this now or you want me to go to other parts of it and things. You want me to go ahead and do that?
Whatever you think.
Do it now? Okay. Then why don't I have Councilmember Palmer and Councilmember Baca come on up here. I have a proclamation that I'd like to read and things to Sandy. And I just want them up here to go ahead and it's a proclamation, very formal, stand at attention, very good and things. So, okay. And we won't throw you off stage. This proclamation says, whereas for the past 22 years, residents of the city of Rialto have enjoyed the fine art of theater, and whereas it is due to the diligence of Sandra R. Courtney, who was given the task of developing a community theater, which with much persistence, correct?
That's right.
Persistence, creativity, and no available financing.
That's right.
We just didn't want to use the word broke in it, but that's okay. But she succeeded in forming the currently well-known theatrical ensemble, the Rialto Community Players. And whereas with the use of the Carl Johnson Center Gymnasium and under unsophisticated conditions. Ooh, weren't they bad?
Oh, primitive.
Oh, bad, very
Primitive.
bad. I'm sorry, I work for the city, I remember and stuff.
No,
So okay.
I'll talk about it later.
Okay, sorry. In 1982, the Rialto Community Players held their first production, soon to become a popular community icon, which led them to grow and to require specific production needs. And whereas by 1988, planning began to construct an indoor pool and theater complex, affording the Rialto Community Players a proper venue to hold their productions, later to become known as the Rialto Community Playhouse, and was affectionately referred to as the little jewel box of a theater. And whereas it is Sandra R. Courtney's vision, dedication, and strong leadership that has brought her the recognition she so richly deserves as to have the Rialto Community Playhouse dedicated as a Sandra R. Courtney Community Playhouse, which reflects her passion and strong spirit to enlighten and entertain. Now, therefore, I, Grace Vargas, Mayor of the City of Rialto. No, you're not Grace Vargas. I'm not Grace Vargas. Okay, never mind. Okay, stop that. Okay. I'm going to, yeah, sorry about that. So when they start talking, I'm going to use the horn. Is that okay? So I'm just kidding. And okay, now therefore I, Grace Vargas, which I'm not, but I'm speaking on her behalf for the Mayor of the City of Rialto, do hereby proclaim that the city officially expresses sincere appreciation for Sandra R. Courtney's efforts toward enhancing our community through the fine art of theater. Sandy, thank you so much. I'm going to let Councilmember Palmer and Councilmember Baca say a few words too. Gentlemen, I'd like you to get up and say a few words too.
Well, I'm not going to spend a lot of time doing this because we've had a long program. I'll just let you know that after I got on the council, Winnie, my dear friend, told me one thing you've got to do is we've got to name this thing after Sandra or Courtney. So with Winnie's help and backing, when it came time to do that and we had our program in place to start naming facilities for our citizens through a program, the first thing I did was say, let's name this after Sandra or Courtney, and today's the day. So congratulations, Sandra.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it gives me great pleasure to be here on behalf of the city of Rialto. You know, it's an honor to really have something named after you. It really is. It really is. And for those that are deserving of it, and I think the most important thing about this is that Sandra gets to enjoy this while she's alive, because I think that's important. No, seriously. Because, you know, a lot of people put a lot of their time, unpaid time, and it really means a great deal to our community, the city of Rialto, and bringing the theater of arts to our city, you know, making it a diverse city and making sure that our people in our community get these type of services. So I really want to thank Sandra for everything she's done for our community. And I just had a question, Sandra. What was it like working with Guy Williams? Great.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
Yeah, really. Guy
Gorgeous.
Williams. Yeah, he was a handsome young man.
So
Guy,
nice.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed watching all those Zorro episodes. I think I've seen every one of them. I remember watching the reruns at 11 o'clock on the Disney Channel, and really it was a great pleasure to watch all those shows. But
You can go to YouTube.
oh, yeah. But most of all, we're glad Sandra came to the community of Rialto. Isn't that right? Absolutely. We're glad she settled here. So on behalf of the city of Rialto and also on behalf of Congressman Baca from the 43rd Congressional District, he wanted to make sure she had this recognition in acknowledgement of the dedication of the Sandra R. Courtney Community Theater. Sandra Courtney's work to promote the arts in the city of Rialto cultivates memories and enjoyment for the generation of Rialto residents. Best wishes for future success, Congressman Joe Baca. Congratulations, Sandra. Congratulations. Our pleasure. Our pleasure.
Appreciate it. Okay. Put it down here.
One-handed scripturing is not easy. Now, I would like to invite Sandy to come back and speak some more.
Here I am.
I know I have to drag her into it, but here she is.
Want to thank Scott Enoch for all the work that he put into this event. He was the one that they asked to do this, and he did a great job. So thank you very much. So, for the first show in the Cavernous Gymnasium, I chose to do a melodrama for her child's sake. 3 of my children were in it, Brandy, Todd, and Jill, who remembers she was Beatrice Hudnut, and they had a ball. It was like doing summer stock with your kids, along with people like Ernie and Darlene Caro, who was the secretary at Parks and Rec at the office, plus a fantastic help to me, and was on my first board of directors. Stand up, Darlene, if you're here. Are you here? Oh, no, too bad. And also thank you to the great group of people who auditioned. I borrowed flats from the high school, and an 84-year-old Rex Potter and I put the set together by pounding nails into the back of the flats and tying them together with rope. The cast got involved. We do it a lot differently now, don't we? We have maquitas and all kinds of good stuff. The cast got involved. They brought lamps and rugs and filled out the set. A good time was had by all. I had to laugh when Darlene just told me recently, "It's a good thing you knew what you were doing because we sure didn't." It really turned out great, except the leading man, who was the villain, couldn't remember his lines to the point of my exasperation. So I decided to pull an easy chair up to the bottom of the stage, put a large sign on the back that said prompter, and he would walk right up to her whenever he got stuck and ask for the line. The audience thought we did it on purpose and loved it. They booed and hissed and were part of the action anyway. At that early stage, I met Candy Kane, who was the children's theater director at Parks and Rec. Please stand up, Candy. I remember I was down on my hands and knees, sweaty and dirty, putting the set together, and looked up at this beautiful girl tottering across the stage on her high heels. After she realized I was doing big people theater and not stealing her kids, we were best buds. I invited her on board, and it was the smartest thing I ever did. She's a truly talented actress, director, and costumer. We've shared many successes over the years. So we were off and running. Flushed with success from our well-attended melodrama, I formed a board, small but mighty, still small but mighty, who guided our ship from then on. And, in fact, my very first treasurer is here tonight. Tanya Johnson, did you come in, Tanya? Did I see you? There she is. She treated the money like her own, and you had to have a really good reason to pry it out of her tight fist. We chose the first play of the very first season, which was Plaza Suite by Neil Simon, and held auditions. Then the most wonderful thing in all these years happened. I was painting publicity signs in the back room of Parks and Rec when Darlene came to get me because there was this lady who wanted to talk about the theater. There stood Winnie Hansen. Cute as a little button. We were both really cute in those days. Wanting to know if there was anything she could do to help. I dutifully explained that the next show had already been cast. She said, "Oh, that's okay. I would just like to help with anything that needs to be done." I nearly leaped across the counter and grabbed hold of her, but I'm sure she would have thought I was a maniac, so that started a 30-year friendship. I always refer to Wen and I as being joined at the hip. We brought different things to the table, and that made us a dynamic duo. I do not know if I would have lasted all these 30 years without her. And then she brought along this wonderful present, which was Val, her husband, who is a joyful jack of all trades, a genius with lighting and special effects, and a tireless, generous man who I call Prince Valiant. Val, where are you? Winnie went on to become a fantastic city council person for 8 years, which is a lot of work. She still gave every extra minute she had to the theater. If we weren't brainstorming, we were doing. She is so cheerful and generous beyond belief. She is the dearest friend and sweetest person I will ever know. Thank you, Winnie, for all the years, side by side, being there for me always when I needed somebody. Around 1986, we realized we needed a fundraiser, so we decided to put on medieval dinner theaters in the gym. We worked from 3 in the afternoon till 3 in the morning for 5 weekends. We cooked, we decorated, we had jugglers and sword fights and a play on top of it. That was a lot of work. We became a smashing success, and it kept us in business. I remember having the reservation phone in my home in those years. That was hard. Thank God I have Joanne Williams now. Joanne, please stand up. She takes care of reservations, and it's such an enormous job. Hours and hours of callbacks and seating and season ticket requests. Thank you for taking that on all these years and doing such a tremendous job. A couple of years before the medieval dinner theater, one of the greatest gifts of all arrived one night in the form of Carrie Jones. Stand up, Carrie. If Winnie is my right hand, Carrie is my left. I am so blessed with the sweetest, most talented people on this earth, and Carrie is just the best. She is an artist supreme. She does fabulous sets. She is beyond organized. She stays on top of things, knows what's needed, and does it. She is multi-talented. She paints, she directs, she acts, she sings. She's kept our history of the theater albums, and due to her efforts, we had that wonderful pre-show picture show, which Gabe Felton took hours and hours to put together. Thanks, Gabe. And that was because of Carrie. All those framed pictures of the past shows in the back wall are all Carrie's doing back there. She paints all the junior university sets and several theaters in the area. So when I do a set and someone mistakes it for a Carrie Jones set, that makes me proud. Thanks a million times over, Carrie. I do not know what I would do without you. We put on fantastic shows in the gym, which wasn't easy, if I do say so myself, one of which was Little Shop of Horrors. Did I mention the fact that we had to drag chairs from the senior center building and put them back for every performance, besides go to the bathroom there? Ugh, what a job. If you were in the audience, you probably ran out of there because you knew we were going to get you to help drag chairs back. And during construction, we pulled a metal curtain across the stage to build sets. When the basketball players were in there, the balls would hit the metal curtain, buzzers would go off. Oh, what fun! As we built in freezing cold and burning heat. We used the side closets for paint and set supplies that doubled as dressing rooms. Yeah, it was primitive. But everybody seemed to put up with it for the love of performing. I think the thing that put me over the edge was when I came down into the gym to go to the office and I got hit in the head with a basketball and chipped a tooth. Well, I am not a quiet person anyway. And I know it's a surprise. And I must have started to ratchet things up because Sandy McKinley, who was Parks and Recreation director at that time, began to make plans for a new theater space. I wonder why. He brought me in and said they were going to build a new pool at the old Y building, and we're also thinking about putting a theater next to it and wanted to know if we could work together on this project because they had some grants. I said, how soon can we build this thing? So it began. Winnie and Val, Rick Camp, and I were allowed to be in on every architectural meeting that the city had. Each time things were added, we came delirious with happiness. We were allowed to build the theater for theater people, so it was more than we could ever have hoped for. I remember coming down to the building site and walking onto this concrete stage and looking up at the beams and seeing the sky and marveling. And then the next time I came, I looked up and there was the roof. That brought tears to my eyes. That was beyond exciting. The next time I came, the painters were painting the backstage with light gray paint. And I said to them, oh, no. Backstage is always black. It's a backstage, for goodness sake. Well, they looked at the plans and they said, wow, it doesn't say black paint here. I said, well, that doesn't matter because backstage has to be black. So that meant there had to be a meeting to figure this out. I remember sitting in the architect's office and I was invited into the meeting. Funniest meeting I have ever been to. There were 11 men on one side of the table and me on the other. Well, I can laugh now, but it was dead serious then. The real fun came when they painted backstage black. Don't you love it? We opened this theater January 20th, 1990, with a splashy black tie affair with champagne. It was a joyous night. Being nostalgic, we chose to put on the same show, Plaza Suite, starring Ernie Garcia, the one we had opened with that very first season in the gym. It had been 8 long, primitive, arduous, physically draining years in the gym. The thing we celebrated most was the fact we didn't have to drag chairs anymore. And we even had our own bathrooms. That was fabulous. Before the show started, Winnie and I were greeting the audience and thanking the city for their wonderful collaboration to make this happen, when down the aisle comes a basketball player asking us where the basketball court went to. Winnie and I were happy to tell them, it's 2 miles down the street. Thank you to Parks and Recreation and City of Rialto Council. A good laugh was had by all. As we started our journey here in this jewel box of a theater, the Poor Yorick group that we allowed to put on one of the shows each season brought this wonderful set builder with them, who was Jim Redondo. Stand up, Jim. Jim has been a godsend all these years doing this physically hard job of master carpenter. 22 years. Thank you for always being there. I call him skinny now because he's lost 73 pounds. Isn't that great? Ann Wilson, stand up, Ann, wherever you are. Anne has been our treasurer for years and hangs in there with us faithfully through all the trials and tribulations in her own life that would take another person down. She is indispensable. Thank you for all the hours poring over the books. Thank you, John Brockhouse. Stand up, John, wherever you are. Thank you both for volunteering all these years, and you as auditor and as treasurer. They deserve a big hand. That's a big job. And thank you to the Fraley family. Stand up, please, Fraleys. Where are you guys? Okay, Jenna waved to everybody. Jenna has the enormous job of the programs that you all enjoy. It takes a lot of hours to put them together and get all the information and then make sure they're run off. Thanks for all the time and effort. And she's also a brand new bride. Alice organizes house managers, and Bob has been builder, musician, summer and Christmas show chairman, and is a truly fun guy. Thanks, all of you. Carrie Redondo, please stand. Where are you, Carrie? She's been our secretary for years on the board of directors. Carrie, you're so good at that, you'll never be able to get rid of the job. Thank you for everything you do, besides being secretary. Sammy and Megan Doe, please stand. Where are you, my cute girls? Sammy came to me and volunteered to do our graphics and website. That was a lucky day for me, I've got to say. I just love Sammy and Megan. I call them the Doe girls. You give them an idea and they get back to you immediately and come up with wonderful stuff. Thank you so much, girls. Thank you to Demiana Pilev. Demiana, are you here tonight? Who does publicity for us even with a crazy busy schedule and her own mom's theater. She's a talented singer and a gorgeous girl inside and out. Tony Bittner, please stand. He deserves the award for greatest stage manager, past board member, and all-around helper ever. Besides, he is just a great guy with the biggest heart. Thanks a million, Tony. And thank you to those who are not here tonight. Chris Codasco, our tech guy and summer show chairman, and somebody who sneaked up on me and came anyway, Ken and Pat Piles. Stand up, Ken and Pat. Ken is now Jim's right-hand builder and jack of all trades around here, comes up with great ideas. Pat does everything from marquees to flowers to copiers to everything, and help everywhere. They are just absolutely the greatest. To all of you in the audience who have helped us put on these great shows over the years, you have our undying gratitude. To the City Council of Rialto, who have been there for us all these 30 years, thank you a million times over for your support. This whole renaming of the theater was initiated by my daughter Jill Henley, whose husband's family started San Bernardino's Junior University in their backyard with the Dixons. I call her my warrior woman because of all the major obstacles she's handled in the last 10 years, like when her house burned to the ground in the old fire and she became the general and built it back up within a year herself. Amazing. Becoming Nurse Ratchet for her family the last 2 years has been a monumental job, and the latest title, Mother of the Bride, next April. And to think she had time to start this project. She got her sisters Crystal Young and Brandy Dici and brother Todd Courtney on board, who are accomplished people in their own right. I could go on for days bragging about them. With all that was swirling around her, and still she had time for her mom. Amazing. They contacted Winnie Hansen, and Winnie, with her generosity of spirit, having been a past council member, guided them through the murky channels of red tape. All of them working together for over a year in secret with members of the current city council made this a reality. Unbelievable. To keep a secret from me. I'm so busy, I didn't even know. It wouldn't even be on my radar. They surprised me with the announcement in February on opening night, tricking me into thinking my recorded message had gone out. Then all of a sudden, my family was there on stage. I had absolutely no idea what a monumental thing they had accomplished. I was blown away. I am so grateful to everyone who worked so hard to allow me to leave this legacy. I will be forever in your debt. I would like to introduce my 4 children who have something to say, and grandchildren, the in-laws and outlaws. Everybody come to the stage. Hi.
How's it going?
So do you want to speak first, or is
Do we need to talk into this, or can I just?
this would be easier? You can stand
Hey,
back
how's
from
it going? Good to see you. Okay. So Todd, come over here. SWAT order.
Want to bring all the kids up?
Yeah,
Yes.
come on
All
up,
right,
you guys.
let's
Come on, you guys.
Yeah, there's enough room. We got a stage.
everybody.
Yeah. Do we have to use this? Okay. All right.
You want me to introduce you? This is my oldest daughter, Crystal. This
Hi,
is,
everybody. How are you?
this is
Good. Okay, so
this is Jill Henley.
I am. I'm Crystal, and I'm here with my family, my brothers and sisters and everyone, and we're very happy to be sharing this evening with all of you and celebrating our mom tonight. A few things I just have to say are that we were very involved in the city when we were growing up, no more than my mother. I mean, all of you obviously know by now she's a huge overachiever. Well, one of the best Sandy overachiever stories I have, because I actually had gone off to college by the time all this was going on, and so one of my favorite overachieving stories about my mom is this. Well, let me set the stage for you. 1978, Eisenhower High School homecoming. I had been elected to ride on a float for homecoming. And that particular year, as a cheerleader, our job description included decorating the football players' houses the night before, which we did until about 4 o'clock in the morning. And then we had to be up at school, and then we had to go to an assembly, and then we had to go more school. And so when I got home, I was exhausted. So I got ready, I put my dress on, I put my little tear on, I laid down in my bed because I had to sleep. I was tired. We had a big day ahead of us. All of a sudden, the next thing I know, I hear my mom, and she's yelling at me at my door, "You're late! You're late!" And the next was a blur. She grabbed all my brothers and sisters and rolled us all into our 1966 Dodge Green station wagon, which around Rialto at that time was known as the Tank. She knew exactly what to do. She rolled up all of the side streets all the way to Rialto Avenue, which was the start point for the parade. She somehow convinced the parade official to let her drive onto the parade route. She found my float, stopped the guy that was driving the truck, had him put me up on the truck. Mission accomplished. I was on the float. I made it to the float. So I'm happy, but the next thing I know, my mother and all my brothers and sisters are now in the Tank driving down the parade route because they can't get out. Mom, I love you. Thank you so much for being an inspiration and a role model all these years. I love you. Congratulations.
Hello. I'm Jill Henley, or as my dad calls me, daughter number 2. I've got some words. I'm going to go ahead and read. Good. All right.
Reading's a good thing.
Reading is a good thing.
Read's good.
Yeah, I learned that in the Rialto Unified School District.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right.
You can thank Ernie for that.
I can thank Ernie. Thank you, Ernie. Yeah. On behalf of our entire family, we wish to extend our warmest, heartfelt thanks for this wonderful acknowledgement of the dedicated years of volunteer service our mother, Sandy Courtney. Although you may term her contributions as volunteerism, I would call it passionate, reckless abandon. If you have ever worked with her on a project or dealt with her regarding the theater, you most certainly have experienced the contagious enthusiasm she brings with her. This force of nature is exactly how a school gym begets a beautiful, thriving community theater. This is who she is. This is the way she lives her life. Her passion infiltrates everything she does as a wife, a mother, a friend, a neighbor, a leader, director, designer, actor, and her newest role, grandmother of the bride. Let me tell you, she wants so knee-deep in this wedding, you just can't even imagine. She loves a challenge. She will make sure that no matter what's done, that it's done with class and style. I distinctly remember in 2004, my husband, myself, and my children had just finished rebuilding our home after a devastating loss due to the old fire. My husband was driving me crazy, and I needed to get a start on decorating my new house. So I called my mom, and, well, actually, I shipped my husband off to Mexico to go fishing. Then I called my mom. I called my mom, and I said, "Can you help me?" And she said, "I'll be right there." So I still had contractors at my house, and that were still working on the house, and I needed to take the kids to school. So I told them, I'll be right back. And when I returned in the driveway, 2 of my workers were standing in the driveway, and they came up to me and they said, "Mrs. Henley, there's this woman in the front room with a tape measure." And I said, "Oh, it's okay, it's just my mom. Don't worry about it, it's fine." So for 3 days, Mom and I shopped till we dropped. She dragged my dad along to install, hang, nail, and do whatever I needed, whatever we dropped up at the house, in between football games. Mom took over decorating one of the rooms, and I didn't see her for about an hour, and she finally reappeared, slowly backing out of the room. And she says as she backs out of the room, "I declare this room done." And I went over and I looked at the room and I said, "Oh, Mom, this is just beautiful. I'm so tired. I would have just taken everything and thrown it all together." And she said, "Well, Jill, when I'm involved, the give a shit level goes way up." So, that about sums up why we're here, gang. I mean, but of course she did not do this alone, and through the years there have been many who I can't possibly name them all who have helped her. But I would like to say to Winnie and Val, thank you for your support and your positive energy. And last but not least, to our dad, Don Courtney. Where are you, Dad? Big shout out to Dad. To Don Courtney. Your quiet patience and support and love with all things Mom is an example to live by. So to our Mom, we love you. We are proud of you and all that you do. And thank you again to the City of Rialto for this wonderful recognition. Thank you.
Next. Okay. I'm not the prepared guy, I'm the wing it guy. The girls all write the speeches. So this is my thing. So as I'm getting older, I get glasses. Well, I am one of the original cast of characters for the Rialto Community Theater. I was kind of harangued into it by my mom when we were at the Carl O. Johnson Center. The O in Johnson standed for, oh my God, as you said, we had to lug these chairs halfway across God's green earth back and forth. So I do remember these things. But my story comes about with my mom in a different way, and it was kind of the changing of the guard. Usually when you're growing up, okay, you usually have the parent, and the parent parents the kids, right? Well, in my mom's situation, that kind of turned when I turned 16. The roles kind of reversed a little. One night I came home, and I was home from school. I just got my driver's license. I was 16 years old at the time. And I'm hanging out the house doing my thing, that type of thing. And it gets to around 11 o'clock, and no Mom, and okay. It gets to around midnight, no Mom, okay. Gets around 1 o'clock, no Mom, start to get worried. It gets around 2 o'clock, and start to panic. So me being the responsible only child in the family, what? No? Okay. I drive down to the beautiful Carl O. Johnson Center, and I walk in there, and there's my mother. It's 2:30 in the morning, and I have to go up to my mother. Do you realize what time it is? You should be home. It's 2:30 in the morning. Okay? This is the kind of dedication that my mom has to the theater. Okay? I would really like to thank the city for this honor for my mom. I can't say enough about my mom. Growing up as kids, it just was the greatest experience I think we've ever had. We were harangued into everything. I don't think we ever looked back at being disappointed about anything. The women's center and doing the fashion shows and all the rest of this stuff. Yeah, forgot about that one, huh? Yeah, kids remember these things, so So anyway, but I'd really like to thank everybody here that came here this evening to celebrate this with my mom. Really a deserved effort. Thanks, Mom.
Great. Okay, my turn. I'm the last. I'm the baby. And I lived with it the most, okay? It was a long time ago when I was 15. And my mom, who could never say no, she was asked to start up this little community theater in Rialto. And as most everyone knows, all these years later, my mom, Sandy, that we sometimes call her, doesn't do anything little, and she doesn't do anything halfway, no matter what. If there was a will to make it great, there was a way, according to Sandy. So now I can't remember if I was actually asked to be a part of the first melodrama called For Her Child's Sake in the Carl Johnson Center gym when I was 15, or if I was told by my mom that I was going to be a part of it. Either way, it didn't take much convincing when I found out that I got to slap one of the actors named Basil, and who, much to my liking, was being played by my brother Todd. So I got to slap him with permission as hard as I wanted each night, every performance, and it was great. So I know. Thanks, Mom. Okay. So along with putting on these plays over the years, comes many issues, for Mom, like lighting and costumes and set design and decor and props. And in the beginning stages of the Rialto Community Players, Mom had to beg, borrow, and steal to get her set decorated just right, and to get the props to come together, which oftentimes meant using her own personal things from her house where I was born and raised. And so most of you, when you come to the theater, you probably are wowed by most, every set that my mom and her friends basically have pulled together. And they have so much attention to detail and the artwork and the carefully placed furniture and the props. And the sets are great and the sets are fun. But my experience when I come to the theater is much different. My experience kind of comes with an eerie sense of familiarity for me. In the early days, and even now, when the curtains open, I play a little game. And the game is like, I spy on stage. And it kind of goes something like this. When the curtains open, I say, oh, I spy with my little eye a coat rack from my house. And I spy with my little eye, oh, chandelier from my house. And I spy with my little eye the couch pillows from the couch, and the couch too. Okay. So the one item though over the years that I've spied the most is the rooster. Does anybody know about the rooster? Are you kidding me right now? Right? With the north, south, east, and west. It's come in many different colors over the years, but apparently it's a favorite of my mom's, which she decorates with most of her sets. So the next time you come to the plays, look for it. So. Anyway, so I continue until my my game is over. I think the top that I've gotten to, Mom, is about 13 on stage. So anyways, on a more serious note, I wanted to say, Mom, while we give you a hard time for being Sandy, I want to say thank you for not telling but showing me how to give back and how much fun volunteering can be and how important it is, and for setting such a good example for your grandkids. And the city of Rialto has been lucky to have you and all that you've contributed through the years. And I stand here in the Sandra R. Courtney Theater, proud to call you Mom.
Are those the greatest kids in the world? My gosh, you should see them at a party if you think they're fun here, Last but not least, I want to introduce my long-suffering husband, Don Courtney. His comment to all the thousands of hours I've put in during these 30 years is that, it's okay, I get the remote. I love doing sets, and so when shopping for a car, it has to be able to carry a wingback chair or any other kind of set piece. So when I clear the house out, Don's comment to that is, he comes to the theater to visit his furniture. He could read the handwriting on the wall early on and wanted me to know that this was my thing, not his. So when anybody sees Don working down here, they know I'm desperate for help. And they give him a bad time, of course. It's not easy for any of us dinosaurs anymore, as we're all a little worse for wear after a long day of building and painting. Don is patient beyond belief, plays the guitar, can fix anything, whisks me away on trips to keep me sane, can tell jokes like a professional, and everybody loves him, especially me. We're a great team. I thank him for allowing me to be me. After 54 years of marriage, even an ordinary day is still exciting. I love you. You want to say something? Yeah.
Well, first of all, I'd like to apologize for my children for being so inverted that they just don't want to get up here and talk. I don't know where they got it from. Secondly, you've probably already figured this out, but Sandy is very loyal to those people who have befriended her and helped her, and she will always be that way. The other thing is, there's a phrase that says, I love it when a plan comes together, or win-win, this is a win-win. Well, this whole thing is really a win-win for Rialto, and I'm not sure that they understand exactly what has happened over the years. The one thing that Sandy did not bring up is that there is a theater league that covers Riverside, San Bernardino County, and it covers all the theaters, including the professional theaters that are involved in these two counties, and I don't know how many theaters there are.
80.
How many? 80 theaters. Now, every year, and during every performance, there are judges that come in and judge each performance.
Michael Charles is here, Tony is here.
Right. And this is his speech. This is the story of my life. There are very few theaters that have a stage and a curtain. A lot of the theaters they're in the round, and so they don't require the sets that this theater does. I can guarantee you that the sets that are built here over the years some of them been just unbelievable. And I think that Rialto is a win-win deal, because when they did this and they gave it to Sandy, who we've already decided that if her name's on it, her give a shit level goes way up. The thing is that when she puts on these performances, and they're now dragging people in from all over. We have people here from the high desert, into Orange County. Actors are actually coming from Orange County out here to this theater. Now, I think part of that is because she has run this like family. When they're down here working, Sandy comes down and feeds them hot dogs, and I think that's the reason they come down to work, is because of the hot dogs. But the actors themselves come in, and she goes over the top to make them feel welcome and comfortable. And that's one of the reasons that this theater has survived as a business, nonprofit business. And so I think that we thank Rialto for giving her the chance, and at the same time, they should realize that Rialto as a name in the theatrical community, and those people who come here from Redlands or wherever, find this as a very fine venue, and Rialto has a good name in doing what they do. I thank you very much.
Well, you know, I could go on forever. I mean, I really need to probably tell you about next season, but we have a lot of extra things to do, don't we?
The director says
wait a
we're
minute.
out of time, no more talking.
No, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
So Sandy, how do you like your Prince Valiant now? Nobody knows he used to work for Chuck Barris at the Gong Show years ago. So, you know, folks, let's get in our Sandy moment, get our give a shit level really high, and let's go outside to the unveiling of the
Sandy, our Courtney Community Playhouse.
Playhouse.